Hello everyone, welcome to another How Lou Sees It review. I am very excited tonight to start my Stocking Stuffer series review, where I will be reviewing some very fun games that are going to be small type games that I think would make really good stocking stuffer gifts for this holiday. And today we're going to be reviewing a really nice, fun collection of sport two-player card games that are very easy to learn, very quick playing, and are just really a lot of fun. They are very easy to take anywhere that you would really like to go. All that you need are some markers, suggested pennies and dimes and things of that nature, nickels, a few things like that. Some of the games, as you notice, will utilize more coins or markers than others. But let's go ahead and take a quick look at each of these games and tell you my thoughts on them. So the collection of games that we have here, they're kind of split up into, we have two beginner, two intermediate, and two advanced type games. They are very, very easy to learn though. Some are just a little more detailed or have more steps or more things to keep track of than others. So let's go ahead and start here. Today we're going to be looking at a tennis game, a baseball game, golf, a yacht racing game, and then you have a car racing game, and then finally a football game. So all of the games come in these little pouches, carriers there. I was somewhat worried that the cards and everything would kind of slide out, but once you have everything in there, it really stays in there very nicely. So nothing much to the box there, but it's very nice on the box. So we'll have kind of a reminder to you of what the game needs. The tennis game, 11 cards, and suggests 1 penny. You can easily play this without a marker though, with how easy it is to play. And all the games come with 11 cards. The 2 instructional cards in there, and then a little fold out here that will tell you a little bit about the game. And then depending on the game, there may be some utilization to the backs of these instruction type cards. But yeah, so that entails the game. Let's go ahead and look at one of my favorites, actually, tennis. And I'm a little biased because I grew up playing tennis. I have 3 older brothers, and we would play doubles all the time, and I just really enjoy tennis, and I've been actually working on a tennis card game. So there's some similarities here, but this is a very basic game. Again, you have your 2 instruction cards here, and basically what happens is you'll take turns dealing out the few cards here, and players will take turns serving, just like in tennis. They'll go ahead and serve from the left, and then after that point they will go ahead and serve from the right side. But they would go ahead and start with a card, and then from the dealt out cards there, the opponent would place a card. There's a number of spots here on the board. You have 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And you'll notice the different diagrams in the corner as well will show you, on the court where that ball is going to end up. So here you got the 2 double arrows, meaning it's going long into the back court. So he would play. This player would need to play a card where the card has a tennis ball leaving from that spot to another location. And so then this player would search through his hand, hopefully finding a card that would have a tennis ball in that proper location. and he would play that, and it goes back and forth until the person from their hand cannot produce a card that would be able to meet where that ball ended up. So it's again very, very simple game. Let's say you wouldn't be able to produce a card, go ahead and get a point, reshuffle the cards, and start all over again. I really like this game. It's very, very simple, and yet it still has a very fun feel to it for those who enjoy tennis. It may be a little too simplistic for some, but I, on one hand, really, really enjoy it. So that is Famous Forehand. And let's go ahead and Famous Fastballs. You are going to need a few markers just to keep track of score. You could utilize a pen and paper if you'd rather, but the 8 pennies works out very, very well. The baseball game is really a hand gesture game, kind of a rock, paper, scissors feel, but it's themed with the baseball, and you're able to, it utilizes the theme very well and gets a very nice feel to the game. So, one person's the batter, one person's the pitcher, to go ahead and start the game here. And whoever is up to bat and the pitcher, it really just comes to the hand gestures. You keep track of, who's who, so you know who's going to be scoring points, and keep track of your outs and the innings and the game length and everything that way. But basically the concept comes down to, if you'll notice at the at-bat card, you'll either hold out your hand flat or in a fist. And according to the results, so if they're both open, the batter will walk. You'll move a penny or marker along the base to first base there and bring up another person at bat. Okay, so then the other option is if both people do fists and they both do fists, you get an out. So then you would go ahead and utilize the marker up here, move it down so that you have one out. And the other option is, sorry, I misspoke there. If one person, if you do different signs, then it's an out. If you both do fists, then that is a hit. And the hit, what happens there is you go to the next phase, and each player chooses either to put out 0, 1, 2, or 3 fingers. And then you add up whatever comes out from that, and you'll notice it goes to 6. So if each player holds out a fist, the batter would get a triple, scoring the runs accordingly. So he'd be able to score this, and then he would put that penny there. So, and then you would go ahead and mark his score up there on the board there. Or if you had a 0 and a 1, you would have a double play where the pitching team would be able to go ahead and remove up to 2 pennies from the board if there were 2 pennies, etc. So that's really the game, and it is a very, again, a simple game, and very surprised when I pulled it out. I guess I wasn't expecting the hand gestures to be, the entire game. And at times it feel a little silly, I guess, to keep, for the entire game using these hand gestures. But it is a really, really fun concept. Again, in this one, the cards are basically to keep track of score. I don't know, I kind of thought, with the different options here, you could utilize, maybe even make up rules for dice too, if you're interested. You can, instead of using the hand gestures, if that gets a little tiring or something like that, you could actually substitute, some dice in there and customize it that way so that you each roll die instead of doing the hand gestures. And you can come up with different ways to utilize this in that concept. So really like the baseball too. I mean, I really enjoy all of these little games, but that is a really fun one. Okay, what's up next? We're going over and we're going to talk about Famous Fairways, which is our wonderful golf game. This one, it does need, again, a few markers, to keep track of everything. This one here on the back of the instruction fold-out card here, it suggests some different golf course numbers here, because basically what's going to happen is you're going to determine beforehand how many holes you guys want to play, and just keeping track of par, and it gives you some suggestions to vary the games somewhat on this card. So for a few of these, again, you'll need your old trusty pad of paper and a pen to write those down. But over here, for each hole, you'll shuffle up the different cards available here, and for a par 3, you'll deal out 3 cards, and for a par 5, you'll deal out 5 cards, and you'll shuffle those up each time, so the holes can be different, or you can actually go ahead and establish certain holes and keep track of that and kind of design your own golf course, if you will, which would be kind of cool. You can, maybe utilize it and try to make it as close or similar to, a nearby local golf course. I don't know exactly how, realistic or how possible that would be, but that's an idea. It would be fun. Suggest having a quarter down here to keep track of the hole, but not really that necessary. But one player will go ahead and take some pennies, and the other person could take dimes, or you can use different markers in that regard. And you'll take turns basically choosing a club. You can't utilize a club that's already taken, so you'll take turns picking which club that you would want to play, and trying to get down the hole in the fewest number of strokes, which are represented by how you utilize your markers in the game. So for example, in this par 3, the woods are not available. As you can see, par 5 you can use this, and a par 5 and 4 you can utilize this one. As we're in a par 3, we won't be able to use those woods, so as the first player, I'm going to go ahead and use the iron here, 5 to 7, and then you can look here, and each of these cards has 4 spaces, but you'll notice the hazards here. So we have a water hazards, 2 in a row, which is a 1-stroke penalty to fish your ball out of the water, and you would have to pay one of your tokens, and you can place it by the card there, and that's going to count as one of your strokes. So I don't really want to utilize my the iron that I chose to its full potential and go to a 7 in a water hazard. I'm actually going to go, you can choose any number between 5 and 7. I'm going to go ahead and move my dime down to here in the first open location. Now my friend who has the penny here, he can choose an iron 4 to 6, but he can't land in the same location as me unless there's no other option. So he can either try to get ahead of me if he wanted and take the water hazard there, or he may want to just take the next iron available, and 4 to 6, but he would just utilize it. See, he may not even want to do that. He would do the iron 3 to 5. Maybe you'd go to 3. But then, that leaves the dime open for 4 to 6. So maybe you'd want to take the water stroke. So there's a lot of different strategies involved in that as you go down the hole. And they have different hazards as well. So if you're in the rough, you have to use the minimum distance shown. You can't go any more than that. We've already done the water. The bunker over there is a 1-stroke. Over there sorry, it's not focusing very well, but max of 4 and no hole out. So, you could only go 4 no matter what club you choose, and even if I get to the hole from there and I can do that, I still have to pay 1 to tap it in because I have no hole out. And you go ahead and you just do that for each turn, add up, from here, how many tokens you have here or spent to get out of hazards, and that is famous fairways. It is as a lot more as I first started. I play here. It's basically every time do the highest one, get as far as I can without going into the hazards. But when it came down to it, after analyzing it a little more, thinking more strategically about it, taking the largest, length and everything wasn't always the best option. So there was some good strategy that came out of it. But that is famous fairways. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about our next one, which is famous flagships. I've been on a sailboat once. It was a really great experience. I know a few people who really enjoy sailing, a brother and a coworker. And so this is kind of an interesting concept over here. So this one is going to utilize 15 pennies or markers. And this one, I will say, pennies is a very good marker or token to use, as really it's nice just to have something that stacks very well in this one, because you're going to be stacking things as you play. So this one has kind of a reference card for each player. Gives the setup on one side, and then each round a turn summary. And basically each person represents one of those 2 ships chosen at the beginning of the game. You'll notice here there are pennies set to the different compass points as established in the setup phase here. You'll notice there's 6 pennies in the middle, and then going around 1, 2, 3, 2, 1. You'll also notice that there's little pip marks or little dots around those, and those really, with the dots and the pennies in this instance, represents the amount of points you will receive by moving your boat to that, which is really represented by wind. You score wind points. So think of it as speed, and it's kind of fun. You're utilizing the different areas of the compass. So it again very well matches the theme of sailing, in this instance yacht racing. So each player is dealt 3 cards, and there's 1 through 3. And one of those cards goes clockwise, and the other goes counterclockwise. So there's only the 3 cards, but you deal those out, and as each turn, each kind of round here, the person will play a card that allows them to move either clockwise or counterclockwise around there, and score the number of dots plus the number of stack points on that compass point. So I'd be able to score 4 points. I would go ahead and move all of the pennies from there and stack them back in the center. And I would move one of these from the center back to either side of my boat. Now, depending on what other cards I have, that would change or utilize. I might change my decision of where I want to put that token. Then the other player would go ahead and play their card, and after that you would go ahead and switch, after the other person's moved and scored, cards and back into your hand. And so the game progresses, and you'll have pennies going back in here. You may go to a spot without any penny, because it's still 3 points if you move there. And it was actually very enjoyable as we played this. I thought it played really well. I couldn't really think of anything like it. So it felt very original to me, but really pretty fun. So that's famous flagships. And let's go down here. We got the car racing game. Okay, I really like this one because of the very starting aspect of the game. Each player gets to customize their own race car. And you will also, the game included, as you'll see here on the back, a racing track, Monaco, worth 18 points. You can actually go to their website, Famous Games Co. website, to download other maps or racetracks that you can utilize. You can make up your own racetracks. So, I mean, very nice replayability with this game as far as kind of making it your own and keeping it fresh. So, but each track here, you'll notice this one is 18 points, and so at the very beginning of the game, what will happen is each player will go ahead and in the 4 different areas of the car that is utilized in the game. Here's an example from one of the cards here. You'll have tires, you have fuel, you have engine, and then you have the flags there which represent the score, basically victory points, if you will. And from those 18 points, each player can distribute those 18 points however he wants. So we go ahead and here, 18 points varied somewhat here. I want to start with 3 victory points already to go, but my car isn't going to be as, beefy. And so my wife here starts with no points, but her car is going to last a little bit better than mine will. And she may not need to make a pit stop as I will. So you have this board here, and you represent, you have kind of the clear, gray, and dark, which represents, the turns, straightaways, and maybe not as aggressive. You start on the track here. The dotted lines represent a pit stop available. So the first time around you won't do that, but once you pass around again and you go to the second lap, you may want to make a pit stop. And we'll talk about that in a second. So basically the game again is made up from like the Yacht Racing one. It's made up of 3 cards. Now there's more than 3 cards available. There's a few others, but each person is dealt a hand here, and you'll see 60, 100, 140 miles per hour. So on each segment, we're starting on a gray segment here. I can go 60 miles per hour even in the dark segments, and I would only have to subtract 1 tire. On the other ones, I wouldn't have to subtract anything. If I chose to play this one, you'll see I would lose on this segment 1 fuel. Or if I wanted to really go fast and go 140, I'd have to lose a tire and 2 fuel. And each person would secretly choose one of their cards that they have and place it face down and then reveal them at the same time. The person with the highest speed would go ahead and get 2 points here, and add that up and subtract any others, and the other person would also subtract any damage to their car, but they would also score 1 point. So then you would switch cards that you played. They would get the 140, I would get the 100 that they played, and you go back and forth. So then we would go to the next segment. If anything goes below 0, then you are out of the game and the other person wins. And as you go around, again, these are going to go decrease, and these will increase as you go around the track. If you go in for a pit stop, you can turn in one of your points for 3 tires or 2 fuel or 1 engine, and you can spend as much as you want that you have available. But it's a balance, because at the end of the game, the winner is the one with the most points. So that is a very simple car racing game. I really love the aspect of being able to make each racetrack different, make, play around with, starting the cars out differently. You'll definitely go through a lot more tires than you will the other ones, fuel and engine, but you're going to need enough of those to get you around the track. So very, very fun. I really like the car racing game, Famous 500. I'm also going to say I'm very impressed that found, something that starts with 5, so you can keep the Famous 500, Famous Forehand, Famous Flagships. I mean, it's kind of a cool. Last here, Famous First Downs. Okay, this is the big football one. It is, the more advanced level of game here, but it is really, really, really fun. I really like the concept of this one. It does utilize a lot more markers. Again, you could utilize just a pen and paper, I guess, in this regard as well. But in this one, you're going to have some. You'll notice I have the instruction fold out again, utilizing the back there. Keep track of your downs, your yardage. You have 10 yards here, make up 5 pennies in one of these that can change throughout the game. But basically, one person takes on offense and one defense, and the game, each person will be able to have 3 tries as offense to score as many points as they'll be able to do so. In each run, what basically happens is you have the defense over there that has the yardage that you're trying to win, and there's 3 offensive cards, but they are double-sided, so you have 6 different cards available for you to play. And so if you look at these cards here, you'll notice a few things. You'll notice the numbers up there. Those are the yardage that you know that you could receive. And you also notice a few other things that run short and long. So there's 3 different plays that you can run for left, middle, or right. And what's going to happen is you're going to play that face up, and then the defense will be able to go through all of their cards. And they have also quite a few here. They have 6 different cards as well that they can look through and try to decide which route are you going to run out of the 9 showing on that card. And try to pick a card that would be able to block maybe the ones with the larger yardage. But, the other player may not choose one of those, and try to get the yardage actually shown on your defensive card. So after the defensive person picks a card, he'll place it face down. Then the offensive player will actually reveal which route he's going to run. You'll notice here the double arrows, that represents a trick play, which you can utilize momentum, which I'll describe in a second, to go ahead and if you use 2 momentum tokens, you'll be able to buy an extra 5 yards if you were unblocked on the defense. So in this instance, the defense chose poorly, and I got 3 yards plus the 6 from him. That's 9 yards. And if I had momentum, I could spend it, put it back in the pile here, and I'd gain an extra 5 yards. And you'd collect the tokens applicable, and moving. If I established and got the 10 yards, I could even get a first down, which for offense I would gain another momentum token. If the defensive player somehow chose one that would be able to block the route that I chose when he flipped it over, then I would gain no yards. I wouldn't gain the 3 yards as described, and I wouldn't be able to pay momentum or anything there. I would be able to pay 3 momentum to do a repeat down, which would go ahead and kind of negate any other momentum tokens that were used or gained, and we would basically just replay that down. So you do that back and forth. If it's fourth and down and you have a lot of yardage to go, you may want to punt, because if you go for a play or a field goal and fail, then the defense is going to start their offensive run with 10 yards or 9 yards, whatever is in this pile. They would go ahead and start with that advantage. You can go ahead and try to kick a field goal, which would be if you're within 20 yards. If you have everything but 20, it's automatic. If you are any further than that, then you have to correctly guess card flips or pay momentum to get the field goal. The defense also can utilize momentum to change the outcome of the cards here a little bit. Theirs is a little bit more. 3 momentum tokens will buy a 5-yard sack on a blocked play, and 4 tokens would repeat the down, and 7 would actually get you a fumble or interception. So some turnover there. So the game is just really, really fun. I like the concept of the pick this card out of all the different options, and then the defensive player has to sift through and say, okay, do I want to try to block all of the ones that show yardage, or is he going to pick something else that doesn't show it on there? So there's a lot of different options and different things that you can do with it. And so I really, really like the football one, how it plays out. So those are all of the 2-player sport card games from Famous Games Co. And I really, really do enjoy playing them a lot. They're a lot of fun. They're very simple, but very good quality cards. The artwork, as you can see, is very, very well done. It looks very nice. You will have to have some sort of paper or pen usually. It's nice to have some loose change or some other things, but you can use basically any other tokens. But yeah, I think the tennis and the football are my favorites out of these, with the car racing Famous 500 coming in a third there, close third. And I really do enjoy all of them. And good news, if you go over to my blog at howlooseseesit.blogspot.com, I will have a written review up there shortly that will allow you, if you choose to, go to Famous Games Co. and go ahead and purchase, go to their website and put in the basket the complete set of all of these wonderful card games. You will be able to punch in the code that will be on my blog, and you will be able to get $5 off your purchase of the entire set. So for the first 10 people who do that, you're in luck. After those 10, sorry, but go ahead and purchase it anyway, because these are some really great 2-player games. Thank you for watching, and if you like this video, please like it and follow my other videos, follow my channel so that you can keep up to date on what is new and what is the new great games out there. Thanks, and go ahead and go to Famous Games Co. and check out their website.